Okay, welcome everybody. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the Bridge Code of Jewish Law, Chapter 28. So we are starting the laws of a Sefer Torah and other holy books. So we're up to number 2. So it says V'chein mitzvah al kol ish. It's also the mitzvah in every individual, every person, liknoi shasifrei kodesh, to buy other holy books. So we mentioned last week in the first chapter that ideally a person should try and write a Torah scroll, have one commissioned or fix one. So, or at least buy a letter in one. And but in addition to that, people should buy other books, Shalom de Mistaycham, to learn from them. Going, for example, Mikra, the books of Tanakh, the Jewish Bible, Mishnah, Gemara, Poskim, right? Books like this one, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, etc. To learn from them yourself and to lend them to others. So we have people coming in. So we have a mitzvah to buy books. So yes, they do look pretty. That is true. But that's not the sole purpose. That's not even the main purpose. The main purpose is that we should learn Torah. We should study from the books, and we should also let others study. So the Mabasheva has a 10 mifsoim, right? The 10 campaigns, right, to try and encourage people in their Judaism. So some of them are very fundamental, keeping kosher, putting on tefillin, family purity. And one of them is Bayis Mali Sfarim, having a house full of Jewish books. And you might think on the surface that doesn't really seem to be as fundamental as the others. But what it does is A, it creates a certain atmosphere in the home. But B, if you have books available, then you got a few minutes here, a few minutes you're waiting for something, something's in the oven, you're waiting for it to cook, or whatever it is. You pull out a book and you study. Unfortunately, the Yetzer Hara now tried to get on top of that as well by creating our phones. So now the human nature is whenever someone has a spare 2 minutes, he quickly grabs his phone and checks everything. But should have books available. Now, Omisha Ein Lo Yad Mesigas Liknois Lo Sefer Torah, V'Gam Shasifra Limud. Someone if they don't have the financial means to be able to purchase a Sefer Torah or other holy books, so Sfarim Shehem Sarach Limud Hen Koidman. Then if you have a choice, right, you can't buy Torah and books, then books you're going to study from take priority to a Sefer Torah. Amar Abasenu Zichron Lebracha, our sages say, V'tzidkasa midid la'ad, and his righteousness will last forever. Who's that? It's a Kosev. V'odin Akaina, Sfarim Misham Lachem. This is someone who writes or purchases books and lends them to others. So someone who provides the ability to be able to learn and to study, it's an incredible thing. So those who just joined us, chapter 28, we're at number 3. So it's a really important and beautiful thing to be able to invest in Jewish books. And today, Baruch Hashem, every language, everything is available. It's just incredible, the quality of the books, the binding, just besides the content, just physically, Baruch Hashem, there's so many beautiful things. There's a shul in Israel. It's the Belz Beis Midrash. It's officially the largest synagogue in the world. So I think it seats like 15,000. In the Chagim they have a lot of additional spaces put out. Something like that. It's a very large building. So in the study hall, There's a wall that's nicknamed the Blue Wall, the Bloyavant. It's called the Blue Wall. There are 400 sets of the Hebrew, the Art Scroll Talmud with the Hebrew translation on the wall. 400 sets of 73 volumes each. That's the Blue Wall, and they're used. There's that many people there. It's an incredible thing. Okay, just an example. Gimel, number 3. Hayav Adam Linhoy Kavod Gadol b'Sefer Torah. A person has to show great respect to a Sefer Torah.
Where
Sorry?
is blue wall? I did not write this down.
It's in it's in the Belza. It's in Yerushalayim. It's
in Yerushalayim. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
it's outside the main city.
Thank
It's
you.
in sort of the side. Then it's as you go past one of the highways, it's on a hill, and they've it's the sort of the style of the base of Mikdash. So it's like it's a beautiful building. They have tours there actually.
Thank you. Sorry.
If you go to Jerusalem, there's a tour you can go. It's an Australian gentleman, Friedman. He takes the English speaking tour. All right. So mitzvah liyachid lo'makim l'kavdas makim hula hadar b'yosin. So we should have a special place for the Sefer Torah, and we should also treat this place also with the utmost respect. The yara keneged Sefer Torah, a person shouldn't spit in opposite of Sefer Torah, in front of a Sefer Torah. Now, obviously, we're not talking about spitting at the Torah. Obviously, a person doesn't do that. But even thank God, people don't spit so much anymore. But they used to have spittoons, in the old European synagogues. It's you shouldn't hold the Torah directly with your hand, only with some type of cloth or something. And if you see a Sefer Torah is being carried in the room where you are, you should stand up. Till the Torah returns to its place or leaves the room. That you can't see it anymore. And in the shul, at the time when they take out and put in the Torah, it's a mitzvah for everyone who the Torah passes them, that they should accompany the Torah to its place. Also the person who did Hagbi lifted up the Torah, the one who rolls it and dresses it, they should also follow it. Now again, I'm going to put a provision on that. Although it's a beautiful thing that as the Sefer Torah comes around the shul, that everyone who it goes past, they should follow it to its place. That works until Baruch Hashem you have a large shul. Starting having 50, 60, 100 or 1,000 people all cramming in after the Torah into the smaller place doesn't work. But in a smaller minyan, it's a beautiful thing to show you respect. Okay. Alad, number 4. Now, even other holy books, other Jewish books, books of Jewish wisdom, books of Torah, we have to show some respect, not the same level as a Sefer Torah, but a certain degree of respect. So we're going to give some examples. So imenucham al safsel, it's on a bench. Also, lashev al safsel zeh, you shouldn't sit on that bench when the book is on the bench. Ela im asfarim menuchim al ezed dava shegvulach al pachis tefach, unless the books are on top of something else, which is at least a tefach, right? The width of a fist. And how much more so, you shouldn't put svarim, holy books, on the ground. You shouldn't put the a book on his lap and rest his elbows on it. It's not a respectful way to learn from the book. Now, if you're stuck, some places they don't have benches, sometimes shul, especially high holidays, they squeeze in all these extra seats, and there's nowhere to put your books, different things. So what can you do? So mutar lashev al gabi teva sheyesh b'shei sifrei kodesh. Then a person would be able to sit on some type of trunk that has inside it a sacred books. Avol im yesh b'sefer Torah also, but if it's a sefer Torah, you can't. Menichim chumashim al gabi nevim ksuvim, and even when we place books down on a table, there's an order of what you can place on top of what. So a chumash, meaning the 5 books of Moses. So this is the highest level. So nothing goes on top of that. It goes on top of the other prophets. V'chein ksuvim al gabi neviim, and neviim al gabi ksuvim. And the other books of the Bible we can put on top of each other. Menichim neviim ksuvim al gabi chumashim, but you can't put them on top of a chumash. And though it doesn't mention it here, but the other books of the Bible we don't put on top of the oral Torah. Sorry, we do put on top of the oral Torah. We don't put the oral Torah on top of them. We show extra respect. Yes, David.
Gidur.
My rabbi in yeshiva told me that there's a view, I don't know if this is correct or not, but there's a view that a person can put a siddur even on top of a chumash, because a siddur, even though it has things from Nevi'im and Kesuvim, but since the entire siddur is praise of Hashem, it has a certain level of holiness that even surpasses a chumash.
There is a view. Generally, we don't do that, but where we do that is, interestingly, is when you have a siddur with a tilim published in it, they normally put after the siddur and not in front. So when it comes to that, we show that the siddur could go on top. And also we have sections, and often the back of the siddur we have the Torah reading, for the Mondays and Thursdays. And so we do see sometimes that the siddur is at least in the same volume is placed. But ideally we should really put the chumash on top. Yeah, Susan, yes, your question.
I don't know if you can hear me.
We hear you.
Okay, when you're learning on the computer, because I don't have any books except the Tanakh. So what is the rule? I'm not supposed to open up one book and then another book on top of it?
Yeah, a computer is not a problem. We're talking about the actual physical book you need to show respect to. So on the computer doesn't technically exist. I mean, the truth is it does to an extent, right? If you would have something open long enough without it changing, it'll actually make an imprint on your screen usually. It depends. So it actually, there is something that exists, but to a certain extent doesn't exist in that respect. So you could have multiple windows open with different books. And so actually talking about putting the physical book down on top of another physical book. Yeah, Isaac, did you have a question? You said something before or not? No. Okay.
That's fine. Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. Now, Sefer Torah Shabbalah, Sefer Torah that wears out, and we're going to say in a minute also other books, but essentially we have something, a book, a holy book that wears out, or Tashmishi Kedusha we're going to mention, so things like tefillin, a mezuzah, they wear out. I mean, it's going to sound funny, but there's nothing more beautiful than a worn-out siddur. Not worn out because of abuse, God forbid, but worn out because of healthy use. It's the siddur has become someone's lifelong friend, and after many years, it's worn out. The founder of Art Scroll, he's passed away, but someone once advised him, said many publishers design books that they should wear out and tear after, so that everyone has to buy a replacement. So he says, although that might be good for sales, but if you want a siddur to become someone's lifelong friend, it doesn't work that way. right? You have to have a certain quality. Yes, David.
The pages of Havdalah are special because they have little drops of wine or grape juice all
Yeah,
over the
wine
place.
and wax. That's right. It's that's right. So, but a worn out siddur through good, respectful use is a beautiful sight. But everything at a certain time, everything in this physical world is finite and it wears out. So even if we show the utmost respect and we treat it gently and we look after things, at a certain point it's going to wear out. So what do? So Sefer Torah Shabbalah, Sefer Torah that wears out, goins and oisoi. We put in Geniza. So at first stage it means it's stored. We're talking about stored, but eventually what happens is we bury it. So many shuls or community organizations, they have an area where the old things are taken, right? So there's actually, people may have heard of the Cairo Geniza. Right? There was a old shul in Cairo that was in the attic is where they put the worn out various things that they put there, the worn out books and different things. And because of the climate, the dry climate, they start actually taking things out, buying things, getting out of the country from the 1920s. And there were things that had been there up for over 1,000 years. Some of it was 50 years old, but some had been there for 1,000 years in the Geniza and was relatively well preserved. So you may have seen, for example, in books, the signature of the Rambam. So it comes from there. They found it, or the Rambam's drawing of the menorah, right? Also comes from there. So it shows that it had a straight branches, right? That drawing was found in the Rambam's handwriting or hand drawing in the Cairo Geniza. It was an original manuscript. So they got quite a bit out, and quite a bit more was microfilmed. But after the state of Israel was declared, the Egyptians burnt it down. So most of it was still there. Was destroyed. So it's lost. But you had in very short, they have a Geniza, and they've been able to find some very interesting things. So, but in other words, it gets stored away. It doesn't get thrown in the garbage. It gets put away somewhere respectfully. And so in the Geniza, they have look after things respectfully. The Chain Sha'arbs Sfarim, likewise, other books, holy books of Kisvei Kodesh and holy writings, Tashmishe Kedusha, and holy objects, sacred articles, like the tefillin and various things. But also the Sarfam, it's forbidden to burn them. So, Vav number 6, Ein Zorkim Kisvei Kodesh, we can't throw them around. But Philul halachas v'gados, so even Jewish law and the Gadata, so which is like the sort of moral teachings with stories to show a point. Vasal havchem oisam paneihem, and you shouldn't put them face down. B'misam hafuchim, and if you find them face down, tzarach l'nichem karoi, you should put them right way up. So what happens is, as we said, they get put in Geniza, and generally at a certain point, there's only a certain amount of storage space. So the holy writings are buried. There's normally in Jewish cemeteries, they have a section, they have special graves that they bury in all these writings and books and various things. There was recently in Panama, and there was a shul that burnt down. I don't know if you saw it in the news. So last week they had a burial for the burnt Sefer Torah. And Sefer Torah got destroyed in the fire. I know all of them or some of them, and they had a funeral essentially for the Sefer Torah. Baruch Hashem, there weren't people hurt.
Where was this?
Pomona.
In California?
No, like near Muncie in New York.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, Zion. Number 7. Ein lahashtim mayim b'fnei sforim. A person is not allowed to urinate in front of sforim. Now, you might think, why would you need to say that? So, Baruch Hashem, we live in the time of plumbing, and we have designated bathrooms and various things. But not so long ago, and when this book was written, people lived in 1 or 2 rooms, and a person used a bedpan. And you took the bucket out at various times. So you have things in the room. Likewise, sometimes there's people in hospital. We should know from these things. We should all be in good health. But and they might have a siddur or something they take with them, but they can't get out of bed necessarily. And so the Eisat Sarach, so the time in need. So what do we do? The person's in the hospital. God forbid. What do they do? Right. So these objects should at least be 10 tefachim off the ground, can be at a table, and ideally we should cover them. So someone needs to again, using hospital example, maybe they have to use a bedpan or various things. So even like a napkin or something, just put over the siddur, something like that. Number 8. Now, recovering that was used for a holy object. So it used to be, let's say you're making a tefillin bag, or you're making a cover for a Sefer Torah or something. You shouldn't make it out of something that was used for regular things. B'diavad, but after the fact, shkavanah, so you did make it mutter, you're allowed to, because at least you've gone up in holiness. But if something that was used for idolatry, even after the fact, you're not allowed to use it. So, certain nice tapestries or various things that may be made for other purposes, we can't repurpose them and use them for something Jewish. Okay. Yes, number 9. You can't use a Jewish book, a holy book, for your own benefit. What do we mean by that? Going, for example, to hold it up to block the sun out of your eyes. Right? Shouldn't do that. Or to block your vision so someone else doesn't see what you're doing. They put the book, put the chumash on the desk so no one can copy the math test. You shouldn't do that. But if the sun is shining and you're trying to study from a sefer and you can't see properly because the sun is shining right there, you can shield the holy book with another holy book, but you can't use a book to shield your eyes. Because since you're using it to block the sun off the holy book, you're not using it for your benefit, it's for the other book's benefit. And similarly, you could put a book on top of another book on the table to learn from. So like use it as raises it closer so you can see it easier or a better angle. You're allowed to. But you shouldn't put one book inside another one like as a bookmark so you can find your place later. Shouldn't do that. And you shouldn't draw lines, on a notepaper to write something on the book. Right? In other words, if you're taking notes, you shouldn't put the paper you're writing on on the book itself and take the notes, because till you've written something, once you've written something, taken notes on what you're learning, then what you've written also has a certain level of holiness. It's also like a mini book. But till you write something, it's just a piece of paper, and that would be disrespectful. Likewise, you shouldn't put a paper into a holy book for the paper's protection. Right? You can put a piece of paper in the book as a bookmark, in other words, for the Sefer, right? But to put the paper for protection inside the holy book is not so respectful to the book.
Rabbi,
Yes.
can you underline things in a Chumash, like particular sentence or something, you underline it in pencil?
Yeah, if you're studying something and you want to underline something, you could. Pencil's better because you could erase it, but even in pen you could technically, because if it's for the sake of study, it's making it easier to study the Sefer. It's for the Sefer.
Rabbi,
Yes.
what about a photograph of, let's say, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or of a big Rav, of a Gadol? Can you put that in a Sefer?
I mean, question is, why are you doing it?
Well,
so some people
because
put in some people like to put inside the cover. They put on the inside cover. They put a picture, so sort of give them some inspiration of someone. As they study, they want to try and be like this person.
Or a
They could do
dedication
that.
or a dedication to from a Rav to another Rav on a piece of paper.
Yeah. So I think what we need to understand is that there's no real inherent holiness in a photo.
I see.
So there are people. Well, the truth is, every human, every Jew has a certain degree of holiness, and we have to treat everyone with respect, and everyone has a holy soul. Literally a piece of God. That's every person. And there are some people who have really revealed that, and they might have a very lofty soul. There are certainly holy people, but a photo doesn't necessarily have a degree of holiness. So I think it all comes down to why you're doing it. So as I said, some people put inside the cover because when they first open the book, this person is their inspiration to be able to study. So that's in order for the sake of study. Maybe you have a picture that's a bookmark. But I think if we're talking about putting a picture in a book as somehow it's, as we said, we shouldn't put things in the book to be protected. It's not respect for the book. It's a picture of someone that you respect, you may treat with a certain respect, but it's certainly not the level of a holy book.
Okay, now what about, as I mentioned, a dedication that may have been written in honor of that book, in other words, to somebody else, that might
so
be
they do that,
it.
look, you even before we get to the Tzaddik, sometimes people donate let's say, Chumash example, in memory of their parents, and in that little dedication sticker, there's a picture of them. That's okay. And how much more so if it's someone special? Oh, everyone's parents are special, but I mean, it's a special person to the entire Jewish people. But and also sometimes you have pictures of the author. It's in a book. Yeah, there's nothing, I would say, nothing wrong with putting a picture as long as you're not. It's just people shouldn't take it out of context and think because the picture is of someone special that therefore the picture and now is like holy like a book and somehow should be put inside the book. And so just it's a lot of these things, it's like something slightly off topic, but it's just important just to give that it's a similar idea. Often we pray at Tzaddik's resting place. why do we do that? I mean, there's lots of reasons, It's when we pray, the tzaddik hears, so the tzaddik prays for us also. Sometimes a person might, as you might ask a living person to pray for you, you could ask the grave of tzaddik or your parents if they could also pray for you. You can ask them to pray for you. All right, it's a holy place because the tzaddik elevated themselves, and many people have davened there. So the place itself has a certain level of holiness. So when you pray there, it's infused. It has like a extra jet power, so to speak. But people have to make sure that they're not praying to the tzaddik, right? They're not praying to them. It's a very fine line. Can say to the tzaddik, please daven for me that I should have such and such as you daven yourself, right? Not, can you please give me such and such? Because it's we can't daven to anyone. It might seem like a fine line, but it's a very fundamental and important fine line. So I think also, I've seen, obviously, if it's a picture of an important person, we should show a certain respect because that's showing respect to the person. But people sometimes, I think, get carried away with pictures, and it's become like the holy of holies. It's just a photograph. Yes, Susan.
Isn't it bordering on idolatry?
I try not to use such strong terms, but
Oh,
I think
sorry.
some people unintentionally sometimes do go a little bit too far, and having said that, I think it's with the best of intentions often, but I think just we have to be aware. Just have to be aware.
Some people put a picture of the Rebbe in front of their Sefer to give them inspiration when they're praying.
Yeah,
But
that's what I said.
But if I found my picture in there, that would be a problem.
Well, maybe you might be inspiring to people. But that's what I'm saying, sometimes you see either someone put it in or sometimes you even see it printed, different tzaddikim, sometimes inside the front cover, and people sort of, as they open the book, before they start praying, they look and they say, oh, that's who I want to try and emulate, But there's a fundamental difference between that and while they're actually praying to Hashem, looking at the picture, right? You're not allowed to look at any pictures. When you, like, let's say if you have a, sometimes we have minyan in my house. So, particularly Friday nights, we have minyan in the house. So we have pictures of holy people on the. Actually, I have a family picture also on the wall, but it's not the wall the direction that we pray. All right, if it was on that wall, we'd have to take it down when we have davening in the house. Right, you also can't daven towards a mirror, right? Because it looks like you're davening to yourself. Now, I might have a healthy self-esteem, but I don't go that far. It's it's an important thing. And again, it can be a very fine line of crossing one way or another. But just people have to be aware that there is a fine line. All right. Number 10. Hamam be'ed kisvei kodesh. Someone who destroys holy writings, God forbid. Oyev balav, he transgresses a negative prohibition. That you should not, we speak about that sometimes a person has to destroy certain idolatry, but you're not allowed to do this to Hashem your God. So it's a negative prohibition. Generally speaking, when it comes to destroying idolatry, particularly outside of Israel, and particularly nowadays, it doesn't mean that people have a mandate or even the mission to go around vandalizing different organizations and different things to destroy what they feel is idolatry. It's not your place. However, sometimes people give you certain materials. They're trying to convert you. God forbid, they give you different things, and there's no reason they can't help the Lag BaOmer bonfire. Those materials, that's how it goes. Okay. We have to protest against bookbinders, right? That they paste sacred writings into the book covers. Right? So, ever seen sometimes old books, and you see on the inside when the spine breaks, there's like old newspapers or stuff. There's old little articles. I don't know if you ever seen that. Like, so they used to recycle when they rebound books. They sort of recycled different things. They put it in to give strength to the spine. But to use parts of holy books, that's not respectful. So we should protest that. It's not really done so much today, but it was more common. We should also be careful that if we're getting our holy books rebound, that we shouldn't give it to a non-Jewish bookbinder. Right? Because the men are treated respectfully. The bits they cut off, they're going to throw in the garbage. Maybe they have to go into the Geniza, into the Shemus. It's so we shouldn't do that. Right? Because when you remove the old covers, they have to be put into the Shemus and the Geniza. And that you could have put in the garbage, or they could end up using it recycled into secular books. So you have to be very careful about that. Okay. Yes, David.
Back to something in number 9, in the middle there. I don't want to be more religious than the Shulchan Aruch, but it says it's permissible to place a sacred text under another text from which one is studying to raise it, to make studying easier. I always had a problem with that. Like a person he's giving over a Tanya shir, and he's using another Tanya to prop up that Tanya. It always struck me as like it may be permissible according to halacha, but it would seem that it's not preferable. It's better to prop it up. I think
when you're using a sefer for another sefer, so you haven't disrespected it. If you were reading the newspaper and you put it on top to make it a better level, then that's disrespected the sefer that's underneath. But a sefer on top of another sefer, it again, obviously we can't put something else on top of a chumash. We said there's certain things that can't go on top of other things. But if it's something that you don't have that issue, it's for the use of the book itself.
So I'm using the chumash, using a chumash to prop up a chumash. It seems to be, I don't know.
Look, at the end of the day, I got to say, if you don't feel comfortable with it, then don't. But it's technically it's not an issue because you're using it's for the sake of another holy book, not for the sake of it's not for the sake of something of lower holiness. All right. So number 11. Ein noichem Sefer Torah, film mezuzahs, min hagoy v'yotz minay demayim. You shouldn't purchase a Sefer Torah or tefillin and mezuzahs from a non-Jew more than their value. Now, why do they have them? Obviously, you're not buying a Sefer Torah from a non-Jew who wrote it, right? How they got them? Well, hopefully they didn't steal them, but but they're probably not treating them with the proper respect. So therefore, we should try and redeem them, even if they aren't kosher anymore and they have to be buried. may have told the story before, but a friend of mine, he's a Sefer, and one day a African American came into his office with a reasonably new pair of tefillin, and offered to he wanted to sell them. So he asked him where did he get them from? And he says it was inheritance from his granddaddy. So he says, "You sure inheritance? You don't want it?" And he says, "No, I need money." So he says, "All right, let me have a look at them." So he takes out the tefillin from the bag. Says, "Okay, here's the left arm. Good. Here's the one for the head. Now, where's the one for the right arm?" Which, of course, there isn't, right? There's either right or left arm, but, the fellow, he goes, "Oh, must have got lost." Says, "Well, it's an incomplete set. It's not really got much value to me. What am I going to do with it?" He goes, "Come on, I need the money, man." He says, "All right, I'll give you $20. So he gives him $20. It was like a $1,500 pair of tefillin. And, but it had a name on the bag. He looked in the Jewish community phone book, and there was actually 3 people that name. He got the second time, he got someone, he called them up, asked them, "Did you lost the film?" One of them did, and anyway, came back to film. So that was that's what happens. So the fellow who got his tefillin back wasn't aware that he had a grandson, but that's another story. So but we try and redeem them, get it back, but you can't overpay, because if you overpay, you encourage theft. It's one of the things also we have. We don't want to get into politics, and I certainly don't want to be the one that would have to decide where to draw the line. But when it comes to redeeming hostages, if you overpay, you encourage the capture of more hostages. Right? It creates a situation. Now, it's very easy for us to say the deal shouldn't be happening when it's Baruch Hashem not our immediate family, although every Jew is family, every Jew is our brother. We should feel that. And I certainly wouldn't want to be the one that has to make the decision of where to draw the line. But yeah, Ezra.
In the story that you just gave, when the individual called, did he ask the man to give him the $20 that he used to redeem the?
He didn't ask for it. He didn't ask for it, but I think he gave him $100 or something in the end. I think he gave him some money, because when he asked how he got it, he told the story. So he did give it to him and a little bit extra. It's appreciation, but he didn't ask. Yeah. So that's yeah, Mordechai.
Yeah, isn't there a Hasidic story about somewhere in Russia where a goy comes up, either steals or comes upon a pair of tefillin, and then a yid asks him where he got it, and he says, "Oh, I'm also a leather worker," or something like that.
Sorry, but it sounds about right. I can see that happening. And again, without getting too sidetracked, but a similar story. There was a when I was a yeshiva student. So I wasn't in this yeshiva, but we friendly with boys from different yeshiva, and the whole yeshiva, someone came in. It was about 30 pairs to fill in something, and someone came in and stole all of them. And some had insurance, some were from wealthier families, but there was one student, he didn't have the means to buy new tefillin, so he went looking for someone to sell secondhand, and he found the place. He went in and he had a look, and he sees his and everyone else's tefillin in this store. So he makes like he doesn't realize, and he picks out a pair, and he has the guys, do a sales job on him. He says, "Okay, how much is it?" They come to agreement. Says, "Okay, I'm going to go to the ATM and get the money." Meanwhile, he goes back to the yeshiva, and 30 yeshiva students come in, and they collect their tefillin, and they may have done a little bit more in there than just collect the tefillin, but well, that's another story. And the guy pleaded innocence. Someone came in, he sold them all for $500. So someone thought, you didn't think maybe the stolen someone comes 30 pairs of tefillin? No, it didn't occur. Anyway, that's but we should try and we want to get them back, but we shouldn't pay over. You can pay a little bit extra, but not ridiculously over. Because we don't want to get people used to stealing. But for what they're actually worth, we're obligated to try and pay and get it back. Even a place where they need geniza. It's an old Torah, it's a little bit worn out, and you're gonna have to bury it, but we don't want to leave it in non-Jewish hands and being disrespected. And if the non-Jew he demands a large price, so you try and negotiate to try and see if you can get him down to its price. But if he insists on the overprice, then you leave it in his possession. Now we also shouldn't try and get it too cheap. Why? Because if we end up trying to negotiate him down, okay, my friend got a $20, the guy fell for it, but if a person tries to get him down too much, then he may become angry and say, forget it, no deal, and he'll go throw in the garbage or something. So just try and pay what it's worth. Number 12. If a Sefer Torah falls out of someone's hand and got to the ground, and even if it's in its cover, then the person has to fast. And the custom is that everyone else who is present, also fasts. Okay, so that's what happens. So Baruch Hashem, I'm afraid to say, Bli Ayin Hara, I've never been in a place where they drop the Sefer Torah, and hopefully it stays that way, God willing. But that's what happens. You'd get number 13. Also lichtayv pasuk bli sirtut. Now you can't write a verse without a sirtut. Now sirtut means like this. So now we're talking about in a Sefer Torah or a Megillah or a Tefillin or Mezuzah. So what happens if you look at it carefully? You'll see there's a line scratched into the parchment, a straight line, and that's called the sirtut. And so what happens is, in English, when you have the line, you write on the line, right? So the bottom of the word is the bottom of the letter is on the line. The sirtut in the Sefer Torah is the letter hangs from the line. So the top of the letter is on the line, unless it's a tall letter, like a lamed, and that goes above the line. But the body of the letter itself hangs from the line. So that beautifies it. It comes from the verse Zeh Keli Van Vehu. Right? It's in the Shira that we say every day in davening, and this is my God, and I exalt him. Right? So this is we see it's actually a positive mitzvah to make mitzvah items or to fulfill mitzvahs in a beautiful, most beautiful way. So when it comes to writing Torah scrolls and tefillin mezuzahs, so we have the mitzvah to hang it from the sirtut, from the line. So it comes a straight line. So it's beautifies the tefillin. And even here with my Sefer Torah, but even in tefillin, which are rolled up, you don't actually see the parchment. We still have the mitzvah.
There's another word that sounds like that. It's the word for the kapata. What is it?
Tzatuk.
Yeah, is it similar?
So this is a sin, and that's a tzadi. and this ends in a the middle. The similar sounding word. Yeah. Different languages though. Well, you do have the same word as we had not this past we just had, but the week before we're talking about the Kahanim, then we learn about everyone, but it's mentioned about the Kahanim about scratching lines into their skin, tear their skin in mourning. Right? We're not allowed to do that. It's an idolatrous practice. So it's also seretis, same word. You can't do the scratch. You could actually scratch it into the parchments, indented. There is an opinion that you cannot write non-holy, regular things in ksavashuris, in the font, for lack of a better word, that we use to write a Sefer Torah. Right? So sometimes they sell a siddur or something, and it's in ksavashuris, but you shouldn't make like certificates. Even though you can get the font on your computer, you shouldn't use certificates or things that aren't a holy book in ksavashuris in that particular. That's why we always had a handwriting style of writing. Yes, Ezra.
When we're saying that in the same way that you do with the Sefer Torah, I mean, I can understand with the tagim, you shouldn't do something like that. But writing a regular, a document, for example, like they do in Israel, you have graduated from, okay, something like that. You say you cannot.
Not in ksavashuris. You can put it in nice Hebrew font. Just not a ksavashuris. Ksavashuris is the formation that they use in the actual Sefer Torah.
You mean with the chet is a double zayin with
yeah.
Okay.
So that's reserved. Just for that. So that's but a nice Hebrew font and a nice beautiful Hebrew. There's nothing wrong with that.
When I got married, I didn't know, and I was trying to get the invitation made in that font, and they said, "Oh, you can't do that." I was like, "Whoa, I didn't know."
Not the invitation. You could do the ksuba. I mean, generally they don't, but in theory you could, because it's a mitzvah object. They have. Yeah. So that's why we've always had a different handwriting. That's why I always, I find it humorous that the people who tried to claim that in ancient Israel we had a different script to what we have today, right? Because they've discovered things, been engraved with a different font, But that's because we were never allowed to use ksavashuris unless it was for like a Torah scroll or something. And you have it'd be like the handwriting today, what we call script. Today people write it. You can imagine if in 2,000 years from now, some archaeologists discovered some documents in our handwriting that we have today. They'll say, "Oh, well, and they're going to start saying the Sefer Torah Hebrew must have been changed. It evolved. It's anyway. That's how it goes. It's it's a people. It's one of the things that people try to feel that because they discovered something today, that all of a sudden today we must know better. It's I was at a certain museum in Israel. Because of the story, I'm not going to say which one, but the fellow who was giving this tour, he pointed. They had their certain animal, and they mentioned a certain place in Tanakh that Rashi says that the animal mentioned Tanakh gave a certain animal, and he says He says, we feel Rashi was wrong because we think it was this animal. You start to say that, that animal isn't in Israel, and we've had sightings of this animal that they say it is from 800 years ago. So because just the way he was saying, and most of the public weren't aware it was there in the group, and they're saying how Rashi was wrong. Like I said to him, I asked a question respectfully. I said, you said earlier that most of the species are in Israel in biblical times, the lions and things that they're extinct. So how do you know that the animal that Rashi says wasn't there before and is extinct? And you said many species were introduced, and maybe this animal, yes, is sighting 800 years ago, but maybe it was introduced. He says, oh, well, I guess technically you can't know. So I said, okay, so it's a theory, not a scientific discovery that this is the animal. It's anyway. Let's have an introduction to the next chapter, and then we'll. The truth is, there's only a few minutes. Maybe we'll spend a few minutes talking about Lag BaOmer. Right, just mention, Lag BaOmer is the yontiv of called the inner parts of the Torah. It's a day where all Torah we have today was given on Mount Sinai, right? Or throughout the 40-year revelation. And what we call Kabbalah today was also given. But for obvious reasons, because it's so easy to misunderstand and various things, it was handed down, student to teacher to student. It wasn't really mass. There wasn't mass education of what we call today the Kabbalistic parts of the Torah. Right? So there was an official text to a large extent. When we say that the Rabbi Shem Bar Yochai, as John said is today, who we say he wrote the Zohar, it's not 100% correct in the respect that the same way when we say Rabbi Yehuda Nossi, he didn't write the Mishnah, he edited it and compiled it, he put it together, and he gave it the authority as an official text. So that's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did with the Zohar. We see in the Zohar itself, there's many people quoted, many sages quoted. The parts that he taught, when we say on his before he passed away, he taught he taught a large part of the Zohar. I don't know, it was a large part, quantity-wise, but it's called the Idra Rabbah, which literally means the great gathering. There was an Idras Zutra, a small gathering that he did as well. But the Idra Rabbah is in Parshas Nosoi in the Zohar. And so the parts that were his teaching, but he put it together, and I guess we can say we have an official text. It was lost, and there was certain controversy when it was rediscovered. But you have to understand, just to take away the controversy a little bit, is that although the Zohar wasn't publicly around, it was around to a certain extent, and definitely many schools had, if parts of it, orally and in writing, and two Jews, three opinions. Can imagine if someone pulled out a manuscript today and said, "I've discovered this old manuscript. Let's just say it happened today, and this is the Zohar." Right? How many people will go, "Yeah, right"? And never mind to get all the scholars on board, right? The fact that it was immediately accepted by all the different the Kabbalistic schools and various things and Kabbalists in the world, there's people who try to claim today it was a forgery. I don't think it. Maybe what I'm saying is circumstantial evidence, but I don't think something could ever be accepted so widely by the experts in the field if it wasn't the real thing. So that's really it gave an official version, and from there we developed the writings of Rizal, the Vilna Gaon, various Moshe Ketuvah, etc. You can even say that to a large extent Chassidus is the extension of that further. Anyway, I guess I don't want to keep people over time. So it's a powerful day. We should enjoy it, tap into it, and we'll see everyone next week, God willing.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very,
Thank you,
very
Rabbi.
Thank you,
Well,
Rabbi.
meet
Take care.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.